Okay, friends, so we have yet again another horrific incident, another horrific act of terror. On Sunday morning in Grand Blanc, Michigan, just after 10:30 a.m. during services at a Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints chapel, a man drove his truck straight into the building, then entered the premises and started shooting people indiscriminately. The early reports are as of now that 10 people had been shot, at least 10 people. We had one victim that died almost immediately, and by the afternoon another fatality was confirmed in hospital. Several people are remaining in critical condition, others stable but badly injured, and now first responders are telling us that it's likely there's more people inside that likely didn't make it, and that's because this sick individual, not only did he shoot up people in the church, but then he lit the whole building on fire. And so the scene is just utter chaos and destruction here. And now, according to police, apparently the gunman fled the scene afterwards, but 2 officers engaged him thereafter. A firefight ensued that ended with the suspect being killed on scene. And of course, there's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of people saying a lot of different things. I've been sitting patiently at my computer, not ready to record the video just yet, just waiting for all the information I can gather. And now, well, it seems we've got the individual. Authorities have now identified the shooter as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old Iraq War veteran from Burton, Michigan. Sanford served in the Marine Corps from 2004 to 2008. Now, very little is known about this individual. He doesn't seem to have much social media history, and certainly doesn't seem to have any history on social media platforms, suggesting what the motive could be here. We don't know exactly what set him off. We still fully don't know. But obviously that's not stopping the internet grifters from jumping all kinds of conclusions. And this of course causes confusion to set online. And almost immediately photos went viral showing a truck with 2 large American flags sticking out of the truck bed, lodged against the front of the building. People immediately doubted that photo, that would be his truck, especially considering conflicting reports.
During this incident, what we know right now is that a 40-year-old suspect from Burton, he's a male, he drove his vehicle through the front doors of the church. He then exited his vehicle, firing several rounds at individuals within the church. 10 gunshot victims have been transported to local hospitals at this time, including one who has been deceased.
Local police initially told us that the truck was rammed into the front entrance, but as you can see, it seems the truck is lodged into a brick wall. I wouldn't exactly call that an entrance. It could have been an inaccurate description from law enforcement, considering the entrance to this building is actually on the side of the building. And so a lot of people thought it might have been a false flag event. Maybe it was an AI photo or possibly a bystander, somebody who fled the scene and left their car in gear and it simply rolled into the building. But now we know pretty much for a fact that that was, in fact, the suspect's car.
And when the shooter came out the door, and then that's when I just put pedal to the metal to try to get out, and that's when he started shooting at our vehicle, and that's what you saw there.
And tell me what led up, like what did you see leading up to your windshield kind of exploding or the bullet coming through?
Church had started at 10 o'clock. We had our opening congregational hymn. We were getting ready to take the sacrament, and we heard just a loud bang. And then we saw that the front wall, so the front part of the chapel, the wall was cracked. And so we at first figured somebody accidentally had done something. So we started rushing out to go help. And then as soon as I saw the American flags on the truck, and that it was on purpose, and somebody yelled that it was on purpose, we were actually on the phone with him when the shooter came out the door.
We have some eyewitness testimony that suggests that the shooter rammed his truck into the wall, caused chaos, and then, I guess, got out of the truck, went through the entrance and started shooting at people, causing the chaos to, of course, escalate. And actually, the vehicle is how they identified him. People noticed very quickly that he has a veteran license plate. That was very quickly traced to the shooter, to Thomas Jacob Sanford. It was, in fact, his truck. And so, like I said earlier, we know very little about this guy. There's no manifesto. There's no motive that's been released. But before we know anything about this man's mental state or why he did it, well, the left is already seizing on a couple things. First of all, they're seizing on those American flags. That must immediately indicate that this guy was MAGA and this is a right-wing extremist attack. Supposedly, they've dug up photos of the individual's home as well, where allegedly there's a Trump sign, a Trump Vance sign on his fence. Now, it's possible that's his home. It's possible that it's his sign. Maybe it belonged to a family member? We don't know yet. But of course, what you'll notice in the photo is that under the Trump-Vance sign, there's actually a stop sign. Now, of course, is that a message? Is it stop Trump and Vance? We don't know, but that's not stopping the left from posting this photo everywhere claiming he's a Trump supporter, and now this is a MAGA-aligned right-wing act of terror. But it doesn't matter because the left is already using it as political ammunition and claiming that this alone proves his motive. They're trying to create, obviously, a counter to all the heat that they've been facing in terms of the increase of left-wing domestic terrorism in the country. But this guy being a Trump voter doesn't automatically serve as the motive of this heinous attack. And I think here is the key distinction that Democrats very obviously want to blur. There's a difference between indiscriminate violence that may stem from possibly a mental breakdown, PTSD, or personal demons, maybe even a personal connection to the people that he was targeting. There's a difference between that and, of course, deliberate political terrorism fueled by rhetoric. What we see on the left all the time is people like Charlie Kirk, people like Steve Scalise, people like Donald Trump, targeted and killed for who they were, for what they were saying. We see ICE agents just shot at, federal buildings being firebombed, Antifa mobs assaulting conservatives on campuses and at their counter-protest events, and that, of course, is political extremism and targeted political violence. That's the ideology that motivates the violence. But here, again, we don't know yet. And the attempt to instantly paint this as right-wing terrorism is obviously completely dishonest. If we judged every act of violence purely on whether a person voted for Trump or voted for Kamala Harris by digging up their voting records or going outside their home and seeing what kind of political lawn signs they have, well, obviously that wouldn't make sense. And clearly the issue on the left, with all the violence that we've seen, is that those violent acts are tied directly to left-wing rhetoric, directly to the ideology. But what's happening in Michigan, well, it's still being investigated. It may have been senseless. We just don't know. But to immediately slap a Trump or right-wing label on it and call it political violence, it's a disgusting narrative spin. And it proves once again what we've been saying forever, that Democrats would rather weaponize tragedy to smear their opponents than face the reality of the violence festering inside their own movement. And I'm not saying that to distract or defend. Again, I try to be as consistent as possible. If it turns out there's a manifesto or he etched onto his guns a right-wing message, then I'll be the first to condemn it. I'll be the first to call it out. But I'm not exactly sure that that's where we're headed with this story. I mean, why would a Trump supporter in a right-wing politically motivated attack target a church? It doesn't seem to add up. It doesn't seem to make sense. Again, the left has totally exposed itself as utterly dishonest and shameless. But of course, let's wait for all the facts to drop before we get a final conclusion here. That's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.